still missing one. We gotta do something before she takes us all down with her.
You betrayed a promise to me. This has gone too far.
They're going to attack.
What is wrong with you? Telling the people what?
What if she's playing all of us?
You're not a Cylon.
We will lead them all to their end.
More screaming, guys. That was really, really loud. Okay. Can you guys believe it's been 10 years?
No.
Yes. Just look at me. I've been up in the mountains. Since the last time you saw me, I've been up there creating my little cabin and doing it. I gotta tell you, it's a real honor and privilege to be here for Stan Lee. Let me tell you.
So, when you guys first read the script, when you first auditioned, did you have any idea that early what you were in for?
Well, my story is obviously different than Eddie's because I actually read the script for the miniseries because I was auditioning for the part of Apollo. That Jamie Bamber obviously got. Oh, there's no Jamie, but Jamie was going to be sitting right there. So I remember reading the script, and at some point, I had a journal or in a notebook someplace. I wrote down that I think I just read the single best script for television I've ever read, or film ever. And I took note of it, and then, as time went by, Jamie got the part, and you fall out and you forget about it. And then a year and a half or so later, season 2 came along, and they asked me to come read for this character named Anders. And I was meant to show up for 2 episodes. And surprisingly, 2 episodes became 3 seasons. So,
What about you?
This was an extraordinary experience. I was at another type of convention. It was I put on the Latino International Book and Family Festival, and it's a wonderful festival that's being held right this second at East LA College. I was there doing, and actually it was right here in this building, and I was walking around and they said, listen, this thing came in for you, and they brought it over to me, and it was a script, and I said, what is this? It's Battlestar Galactica. I said, oh, I'm sorry. I'm in the midst of doing things right now. I really don't have time to do this. And my agents called and said, I think you should read this one. I said, well, I really can. I'm working on things, And I said, no, I think you should really read this one. And I said, oh, okay, I'll tell you in 2 seconds. I opened the book. Literally, I opened the book, and what there was 3 pages, the mission statement that Ronald Moore had written that preceded the reading of the script, and it told you how the story was going to unfold itself. And it was such an original take, because I'd never seen the original because I was doing suit on stage, and so I was working every night all through the 1978, 79, 80, 81 doing this play. So I didn't get to see any of the original. So when I read the 3 pages, it threw me into a world I'd never experienced before. Same thing that what Mike was saying right now. And what ended up happening is it got me inside of it. I opened the first page. I read the very first page. I couldn't stop. I kept on turning the pages. And sure enough, I got to the end of the script and I said the same thing that Michael said. This truly was a gift. A gift like I've never read before. And it was everybody was so well defined as characters that I said, oh my goodness, this is amazing. And so we went into production, and I must tell you, this is the best usage of television I've ever been a part of in my life, and I've done a lot of things in my life.
So, the Sci-Fi Channel was recently talking about some missteps it made in terms of programming, but they pulled up Battlestar Galactica as one of the things that they did really right. So what do you think it was about the show? Was it the scripts? Was it the cast? Go ahead, you can scream. Was it the time it came out? What do you think it was?
I think it's a combination of those things. the Sci-Fi network was a sub-network in the cable scene that was dedicated to a specific genre. And I think that's what they're referring to when they say that they may have had a few missteps in this rebranding of the SY, FY, and
I can't believe he made it. He just finished coaching soccer, and he actually made it.
He's getting all his manly testosterone out of the way because he was coaching girls soccer.
I can't even believe he made it. I was expecting you to about 1 o'clock.
So all that other stuff I said about Jamie.
As you were saying.
So we all thought that Jamie was extra effeminate. And we thought maybe it was the phony accent, but then we realized it was a real accent. No, I'm just going to say that I think that Sci-Fi, and I'm actually, I'm proud to have been part of something that defined that network, that genre, and I was pleasantly surprised to see them not necessarily make a retraction, but maybe have said that there was a few missteps in starting to try to take their brand to a broader audience and include so many different genres. You don't tune into the Food Channel to watch racing. I mean, there are reasons there are specific channels on cable available because that's what people gravitate towards, and the Sci-Fi network is specifically that. And I think that a property like Battlestar Galactica took that genre to another level, to a whole new plateau, and people started to get some sense of validation for being fans of sci-fi. And you know what? There's really important human stories to be told in the context of sci-fi. So we were the first ones. They hired jokers like this guy, and I think that we had we were part of something really special, and I'm really proud to be part of it.
Well, Jamie and Michael, I talked to you both about this in Nashville, but I want to hear from all of you. When you read the show Bible, was there something about your character that you found out that we maybe never learned on the show? I know, Jamie, there was something about food.
Yeah. I've said this before, but my guy was on the Food Network, funny enough, Sego. No, he was a chef. He loved to cook. That was Ron's thing. That was Lee's secret sort of quiet space where he sorted his mind out. But that never happened. So I want to know what Eddie's Bible said.
Yeah, what was your secret?
I didn't have it. Literally, it was not really defined that way for me, my character. My character was pretty much in my hands. When I took on the responsibility of the character, when they were talking about it, we knew we had to go someplace that was original and very strong. And of course, for me, strength comes through understanding your weaknesses. So I immediately started getting into saying to myself, not to Ron so much, but to myself, okay, how are we going to make this guy vulnerable? And sure enough, as time went on, he really hit the skids, man. I mean, I don't know how many times I ended up crying at this guy's drunk out of my mind or on drugs or whatever. I took everything under the sun. And I think it's the only time I've ever seen in modern television, maybe The House did it, but where the main character really kind of destroys and self-destructs and then ends up pulling himself through it and ends up coming on and pulling it off. He actually comes back and does become able to handle the situation. So I didn't have a Bible. There was no Bible for Admiral Adama. All I did know is that they were pretty open to all of us moving in the direction that we felt was honest and true. I have to tell you, I think of the shows that I've done, and I've done some, like I said, I've done some really extraordinary work on television. The casting of the show was monumental. To this day, I have to tell you, I got a phone call. This will be the last of this whole story. I got a phone call, guys, from Michael Hogan, okay, like around a week and a half ago. And he calls up and says, hey, Eddie, I just finished seeing the pilot in about 3 episodes, and I hadn't seen the show in a long time. And I said, oh, and he starts to cry. He says, I really got time, man. And you know, this guy, he's an old war horse, man. Colonel guy was an amazing character. And that guy really took it to the max. But he really got emotionally moved by what we did. He says the casting on this show is superb. And I thanked him for taking the time to call me, to give me that energy and that understanding. So as far as I'm concerned, our characters were original. I thought that the handling of the casting was monumental in scope, and I think that everyone, I saw Leia on Interstellar. She plays the brother's wife. On Interstellar. I was shocked. And anytime I see one of us performing, I get very excited. So all I can tell you is that thank you, Ron Moore, and all the writers for writing.
I want to hear her scream again. Here's what we hear. It's very loud. Oh, don't be shy now. There we go.
Well, I'm going to actually open it up to you guys now. What questions do you have? I believe there are some microphones out there. Right
There's
there?
a hand right there.
There's one right in the middle of the...
Push through.
You'll recognize the shirt.
Stage that.
There's a microphone.
How did you enjoy being on Portlandia? Was that... that show actually made me watch the show. And I was totally on my couch while thinking, so...
Unbelievable. Well, I got to tell you, you watched the show after watching that show. But most of us, when we watched Portlandia, saw ourselves. Because almost everybody in here that could do that, did that. You know, they just like... You know, that one girl holds the record. She saw all the episodes from the beginning all the way through to the end in 4 days. That was the record, yeah. The other record before that was Portlandia's record, which is what most people could do it in, which was 8 days.
Yeah. Wow.
And
but she's now in a medically induced coma. And it's slowly bringing her back out.
This is the Admiral. Just so there'll be no misunderstandings later. Galactica's seen a lot of history. Gone through a lot of battles. This will be her last. She will not fail us if we do not fail her. If we succeed in our mission, Galactica will bring us home. If we don't, it doesn't matter anyway. Action stations.
I'm doing right in the front here.
Oh, right.
which one of us, which one of us
was your favorite female?
Was our female, the female character that we appreciated? He had them all. The president.
Which one did I appreciate most? That's James Callis. He had it.
That's true.
We should call him. He's in Morocco. I'll call him and I'll get back to you. Who was the best? No, you didn't mean like that. You meant it in a feminist way. But I think they're all amazing. They're all amazing, and they're all amazing actresses. And it's almost unfair to pick one, but you can't really look too far past the great Mary McDonnell. She's an extraordinary actress, and what she brought to that role, just the weight, the responsibility she felt in portraying a female president before we ever had one, and I gather that's still current. Was immense, and she took it very, very seriously, and she represented that character and lived that character and had a responsibility to the disease the character was suffering from, the political role, the sort of initially adversarial role she had with Eddie's character, and then with almost every other character, through the seasons. And she was a formidable opponent. When you're in a scene with a different agenda to Laura Roslin as Mary McDonnell, you were in a fight, let me tell you. It was tough, and that's the way it should be. Every acting scene is a fight. You're representing your character's corner, and you go in there and you try and win the scene. That's how she played. And it was great because it meant that you had to really work and really think, and you had to come to bat. And every weekend we'd sit down together, have a glass of wine, and she'd be the most affable, adorable Mary McDonald that ever lived, because she is. But when she goes to work, she takes off the Ugg boots and puts on the Laura Roslin shoes, then you know you're in for it. I enjoyed every moment of it. She's a wonderful lady, a wonderful actor. And
I also think that beyond the obvious scope of the talent of the actresses that fulfilled these roles, were the characters themselves were incredibly diverse. I mean, everybody from even Callie, Ray Kishon's character. I thought Kate Kernan's portrayal of Ellen Ty was outstanding, but they all had such rich material to mine from, and that's a testament. It goes back to Ron, to David, for writing these really great, not just for men, which is the most common thing, but in television right now is in this golden age where female characters are getting more diverse, stronger, more interesting, and much less one note. And I think we were doing that 10 years ago.
Change the gender of any character in the show, it makes perfect sense. I mean, exactly. Joking aside, I think my character was way more feminine than Starbuck.
There was one right over here before.
Glasses.
Glasses?
Right there.
Alright.
Wait, hold on, we need to give her a microphone right behind you there. Perfect.
Hi. The very last episode I thought was the most moving one, and it completely broke away from all the structure the show was leading up to, especially Jamie's character. So do you think that was a purposeful move to really sort of push towards free will, like Jamie's last monologue or dialogue to Starbuck?
I've got a funny feeling that it was emotional, and it was emotional for many reasons. And I think whenever a long-running TV show comes to a close, you're saying goodbye on so many levels. And Ron really understood that this was a family, that we were a family. There were so many tears and so many, just weird moments where art and life just were hand in hand. And I think that final monologue was very much me. It was my headspace. And Ron, but by the end, Lee and me, we became so confused in moments like that. The sort of vitriolic diatribe from the stand that he makes in the courtroom was sort of me. We're dealing with a show which is about our planet and where it's going, what the answers are, and there's a very naive part of me that just wants to go back to sticks and stones. I'm sure I'd hate it, I'd be rubbish at it, but I think, maybe that was where it came from. But
Brilliant answer, thank you.
I see right in the front right here.
Here, let me give you this.
Thank you, Joe.
I'd like to ask you, how did it feel to read the last script for all you three?
Ready?
I'm sorry. Reading the last script, brutal. The last script was brutal. It was hard to come to the end, like Jamie was just saying. The very last scene I shot was with Mary at 3:30 in the morning in the Raptor when she dies. So that was the very last shot that her and I shot together. And upon completing that shot, she walked out of the Raptor and collapsed in heaving sobs. And to this day, it's become very well known that the emotional journey that our characters took were pretty honest, and given the very final shots were amazingly real. When I'm saying goodbye to him, my son, when I see the close-ups of Starbuck and Lee standing watching the Raptor go away, when I see the hand of the president against the window and she can't even move anymore, and then of course it's a very emotional journey, and it was written, it was all there, it was all there. So all we had to do was just try to rise the level of expectation, because the commitment on behalf of the writing team was monumental. So I will say that it was a very difficult script to read, because it was the end. And so we all kind of had stood there and shaking, and reading the last page was reading the last page. And we knew it. And we knew at that precise moment that this era was over, and we knew it would never be duplicated, and would never come. They're going to make a movie, hopefully. Yeah, Glenn Larson's going to make the film. We wish him nothing but success. We won't be in it. None of us will. I don't think they don't want to go there. They want to go somewhere else. So, but I know, and we said it to each other when we were on stage together for the final time, that this was truly to be the most difficult show to complete, and the most difficult show to try to, to do better than they will. How are you going to compete against this show? I mean, what Hawaii 5-0 or what, Grace, I love Grace. And I'm sitting here going, oh, Grace. She went from Battlestar to Hawaii 5-0. I went on to do other stuff, but it's been stuff. It's, we had a get together just recently where we helped Bamber raise money for the Rainbow. Which we raised about $6 million. And we were all there, and Tricia was there, and James Callis was there, and Katie was there, and we were all there. And we were sitting there, and the first time that I'd heard Katie say, I really miss the show. And because she was like the first one wanting to get off the show. Yeah. She was toward the end, she was going, yay, we finished! And we're just like, oh man, you have no idea. She was like, what, 24, 25? She was a young person, and this was their first major piece of work. So all of these guys were getting ready to launch their careers, and they had launched them, and they were on their way. Me and Hogan and Mary turned to each other and said, thank God we got this at this age, and not when we were in our 20s, because to have to live with the understanding of what we created, and then trying to either match it or at least have the same kind of feeling, very difficult. Maybe you guys find it. I mean, I pray that you can do it more than once. I couldn't do it more than once. I've been doing this for 44 years. I got to tell you, I did it once. And I don't think I'm going to do it again. This kind of a show just doesn't come around. So anyway, that's what I felt reading that script.
For you, James. Surreal.
There's two Jameses here. Which one?
Okay.
We have a version.
Yeah. I like to ask you in Spanish.
Go ahead.
¿Algún mensaje para los fans de Battlestar Galactica? ¿Un mensaje especial para ellos?
Sí, quiero decirles a todos ustedes que me están entendiendo ahorita, por favor levanten la mano con orgullo. For those of you that are Spanish impaired, don't worry. God, you live in an English-only country. Don't worry. Okay? Para todos ustedes que me están entendiendo, quiero decirles completamente que es un orgullo estar aquí sentado como uno de los actores que pudo tener la experiencia de trabajar en Battlestar Galactica. Fue un honor y fue el único tiempo que he tenido en toda mi carrera diciéndoles que este uso de televisión fue el mejor uso que he tenido en toda mi vida. So I say to all of you that weren't understanding me, I just tell them hi. I just said hi.
And just last thing, I'd like to thank you guys for, your Battlestar Galactica kept me awake for 4 days straight. I couldn't go to work or sleep because I just had to watch the whole thing through Netflix. And
did you see it in 4 days?
You might be a world record.
We saw the whole thing in a matter of like 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah. That takes some days to watch. Yeah. And it was a great ride. I mean, I enjoyed it. And I'd like to thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, guys, that's time. So one last round of applause for
go ahead. What do you want to say? Ask the question.
What was it like to find out you were a Cylon?
Yeah. What was it like to find out that you were a Cylon?
I wear it proudly. They're my family. There's my brethren right over there with this scoping eye. Look at that thing. Those are my people. It was completely and utterly confusing and it made no sense whatsoever, and it completely derailed me, and that's all I did for the last 5 or 6 episodes was just be utterly confused.
And he was not the only one. I have to tell you, Cylon. And Michael was so pissed off. And to this day, I must tell you, to this day, he created one of the most outstanding situations I've ever been a part of. When he tells me that he's a Cylon, and he stands in front, here's my oldest friend of 40 years, and he's telling me that he's a Cylon, I almost started laughing in the seat, but then he got serious, and we kicked the shit out of each other, and broke the ship again. And then he gets to hit him. I was so grateful that you plowed him, man, because I never got to hit him.
I actually don't remember that at all.
You don't remember hitting him?
No. No. I haven't watched the show at all. I'm waiting until my kids are old enough and I'm going to watch it in 4 days straight and beat the record.
Well, you hit him.
Thank you, guys.
Bless your hearts. Hey, if you don't have any more questions, don't hesitate to come over. You guys can just come over. You don't have to buy anything. Just come on over and say hello. We're all over there sitting down, so we'll see you there if you have more